Good afternoon. Welcome back to Kevin Toll Reads. So today I have a book review. I flew through this book. I know I would. It's a classic. Ray Bradbury, Fahrenheit 451. I've read this book a long time ago. It's a really good book, and I enjoyed it. So Ray Bradbury published this book in 1953. The genre is kind of science fiction dystopian type setting. Its setting is in the future, so you have to take it from the premise that this is written in the 50s, and so some of the things you have to take with a grain of salt. But really, the overall summary of the book is really you have a society that is in the future, and they're banning books, and they have these firemen, which their job is to go out and burn literature that they find. Instead of putting out fires, they start fires. And Guy Montag is the main protagonist, and he is a fireman. And basically, he has this introspective account where he starts questioning if what they're doing in his job is correct and his society's not flawed, and their thinking and logic around societal norms for that time period is wrong. And so you kind of have, basically it's a story of his unraveling and what is to become, and how he gets kind of out of that profession and how it affects him personally. And so obviously I'm going to talk about some things I like and dislike, and probably going to get into a little bit of spoilers. If you have not read this classic book, I highly recommend that you do. But if you haven't yet and you're looking forward to doing that, you might want to turn the video off now. So in terms of likes, I really liked Guy Montag's character. I thought obviously it's the main character. I really enjoyed him, his kind of shift from going along to questioning, and it's really early that he's questioning, and it's a lot of it has to do with the other kind of side character, which he kind of goes and meets in his daily passing, Clarice. And so I really enjoyed Guy's character. I definitely think I appreciated the fact that in the end he stood up for what he believed in, irregardless of the outcome and how it was going to affect him personally. So I really like that. I like the overall context of the book, because I think there's definitely it touches on a lot of major themes here, and themes that are applicable to today's society. Irregardless of who the president is or any of your politics, there's definitely huge themes here that carry over. And I think that's what makes this a classic. I think Bradbury did a really good job with this book. I mean, when you start doing some research on it, he adapted it to films. There's been two films. There was one in 1966, and there was a film in 2018. So it's been into two major, big screens. It's had play and stage adaptations that Bradbury wrote, and in 1984 he actually helped write a video game based around this story as well. I think it definitely goes to a lot. I like the mystery. Also, kind of, if you do some research on this, I like the mystery around Bradbury's reason for writing the book, and it has changed over the years. It started as kind of like he was against banned books, and then it was more about the censorship, and then it was kind of against mass media and TV and how it was, kind of brainwashing people from, reading books and trying to censor information and guide people into what their thinking needs to be. And that's still kind of a theme that rings true today. So he's definitely way ahead of his time. Again, like I mentioned, I liked Clarice's character. She's definitely a free spirit that starts Guy down that path of thinking about, is this right? There's definitely a couple scenes in the beginning of the book that I really enjoyed. Kind of a fun fact in the book, she at first lies about her age and says she's more than 17, but she ends up being, I think when she comes and speaks the truth, it's she's 16. Fun fact is when they did the movie adaptation in 2018, they revised the character to make her 20 years old and a school teacher. And I guess Bradbury was in agreement with that, I believe, if I remember my research correctly. And so that was interesting. In terms of dislikes, I definitely disliked Captain Beatty. I mean, obviously he's a complete and utter hypocrite and DB. And if you need, I didn't like Mildred, Montag's wife. I thought her character is what it should have been. I mean, it kind of helps set Montag down this path of question everything, but she is completely unsupportive. She's the one that ends up calling, in the book thing when he ends up stealing the book from the lady, when it kind of like the last straw is drawn and ends up being the Bible, and he kind of partners with this Faber character that was another professor, and they're trying to figure out, how to kind of circumvent him out of the situation he's in. I didn't like her. I mean, she's a sleeping pill addict. She overdosed at the beginning of the book. She's completely shallow and vain, and I just thought she just nagged. I mean, maybe that's what Bradbury envisioned, but I just didn't really care for her. In other terms of dislikes, I really wish the book was a little longer, to be honest with you, because I think you could probably unpack a little more. The ending's a little abrupt, but it is what it needs to be for an ending. Honestly, I did like the fact that Montag goes and he meets this after he evades everyone, and he ends up destroying the Hound, which is like a mechanical dog kind of catcher that can smell different senses, or the different scents of people, and he ends up evading them and killing them in the end. And so I thought that was interesting. I liked how he got to this, group of people that are all about books and the preservation of information and literature, and how they've memorized the books. So I thought that was interesting as well. I liked how that came together at the end. And I like, obviously you have this huge nuclear thing that, happens as well. So it's, in hindsight, I kind of am wishy-washy. I didn't like how it ended, but when you think about when this book was written, I mean, it's hard to write about future events. You don't know really how things are going to unravel. So I definitely will give him a pass. Overall, though, Ray Bradbury, Fahrenheit 451, it's a great book. I gave this book a 4.4 out of 5. It's definitely a classic. I'm glad I reread it. I'm glad I have the little paperback copy here. It's definitely something that I can envision myself rereading another 10 or 15 years. And so if you haven't read this book, I highly recommend it. I think it's definitely one of those classics that will scratch an itch, especially if you like stuff that's dystopian, if you like things that are more introspective, you would like to read about personality shift and moral compass. This definitely has those themes and really kind of scratches that itch. If you like the kind of the big brother and the controlling and, kind of thing, I mean, definitely there's themes around that as well. So anyways, that's a review. Ray Bradbury, Fahrenheit 451. I give this a 4.4 out of 5. I hope you are having a great day. If you read this book and you enjoyed it, or if you have any thoughts or comments, please comment, and definitely like the video as well. Give me a thumbs up, and I will talk to you at the next one. Have a good week. Bye.